fantastic to see Simon and Ellen, both Christian people, get married, and it's just a fantastic day. I'm so glad that everyone can share it with them. So, sorry, I haven't introduced myself properly. I'm Jonathan Harris. I've been Simon's housemate up in Aberystwyth for the last 2 years, and I've known you for 3 years now. What a time we've had. So yeah, having been living with you, I've got to know you pretty well, and I'm sure I've got lots of embarrassing stories to tell about you. And I'm sure I've been landed with the worst job of the day as well, the hardest job of the day anyway. This speech, man, I've been a nervous wreck for the last few hours, so if you could laugh at me, or with me even, that would be great. So, before I launch into the speech and embarrass Simon, I believe it is my honour and privilege to just say how wonderful the bridesmaids are. No, sorry. In that absence, let's just put our hands together for the beautiful bride. And this is the part where Simon stole my speech. I was going to sing happy birthday to her here, but he's already done it, so, but happy birthday. But this speech is quite applicable to you, Ellen. It will serve as a warning as to what you've got yourself into for the rest of your life. And will serve as a bit of advice, really, as to what you shouldn't let Simon do or shouldn't let Simon go. So I'm sure there are innumerable things which I could say in regards to what you shouldn't let Simon do. However, I'm going to specifically look at something which Simon simply cannot understand. Something which, despite 3 years in university, still manages to defeat him. I'm talking about the kitchen. Just don't let Simon anywhere near the kitchen. It might sound a bit silly, really, but it is vital. The kitchen has been the focal point for all of Simon's embarrassing moments over the years, and I'm going to share with you a few examples of this now. So the first story isn't strictly speaking from within the kitchen, but it involves food, so maybe you shouldn't let him near food, I'm not sure. Right at the start of my first year in university, a few of us were chilling in front of the PlayStation, playing Anna Kournikova tennis, an amazing game, and in walks Simon. Think nothing of it to start with. It's our usual mate comes in, but after a few minutes, we suddenly noticed something's wrong. Simon wasn't talking. It's a revelation, seriously. Simon talks constantly. If you know Simon, you'll know this. But he wasn't talking. And as well as this, there was a weird whistling noise coming from the corner of the room where Simon was sitting. What could it be? We just didn't know. So, we pursued the matter, only to wish we hadn't, when Simon opened his mouth. The majority of his front tooth had fallen out. And instead of the handsome young man that Ellen was going out with, well, it wasn't quite that. After trying and failing to understand Simon's explanation as to how this happened, Ellen provided us with the story. Simon had cracked his tooth while eating some crispy duck, Chinese food from the local shop. Well, only Simon. Only Simon. Who else would do this? But it wasn't an isolated case. This was just a foretaste of the future for Simon. A far more recent incident, or should I say incidences, could be labelled as the incident of the burger, the other burger, and the coffee. Before we start this story, I want to just make it clear how conscientious a student Simon is. He is amazing when it comes to exam times, especially. We won't see him for months, well, weeks, even days, should I say, because he's locked away in his room or in the library studying, and that's fantastic, it really is. Puts me to shame. Well, at least we think he is working. He's got his iPod in there, so we're not sure. Can't really get that away from him. But anyway, back in January, Simon was preparing for his final exam for well over a week, locked in He was locked away in the library for at least 12 hours at a time. And so on the afternoon of the exam, I think that I could confidently go to him and ask him how the exam went, and he would say, yeah, it was really good, everything that I revised came up. So I asked him, how did your exam go, Simon? Simon said, I didn't go. I've been throwing up all day and all last night. An awkward silence followed. Before I'm sure I said some sort of sympathetic response. But apparently this episode had been caused by eating some dodgy burgers. And judging by the state of our kitchen, I don't know how it was only Simon who managed to get food poisoning over the course of our 2 years there. It was awful, an absolute state. But this story can almost be repeated exactly the same for his June exams. Simon had one exam, well, he had an exam to go to, he throws up the night before and the morning of the exam and is unable to take the exam. The cause of this, again, was unknown until I was given the information that in his bedroom had sat a 2-day-old McDonald's burger, which had since vanished. Who but Simon, again? It's true, Simon. The coffee incident is slightly more dramatic. The house had been woken up to a loud howling, again on the morning of one of Simon's exams. And I'm sure we all wondered what sort of animal could create such a racket, but we all turned over and went back to sleep, particularly as students. It wasn't until midday that I saw Simon, and what a sight. There he was, at the bottom of the stairs, with an arm swathed in bandages. Shocked and horrified, I asked him, what has happened? Had an animal attacked him? We just didn't know. Apparently, Simon, on his way to waking up in the kitchen, trying to make himself a cup of coffee, had poured boiling water all over his hands. How on earth he didn't realise that he was missing the cup until he had poured half of a cup full? I'll never know. Now, a final story regarding food was at the stag do, actually. You might hear the phrase, what happens at the stag do stays at the stag do, but to be honest, not much did happen. Why, you may ask? Well, after a really fun day of activities, we went to have food at, you guessed it, the burger bar, when Simon proceeded to be sick and have to leave without eating. No one else took their leave but enjoyed 2 hours without the stag eating delicious burgers. So Simon, you've been warned, don't let Simon near the kitchen, and more importantly, never feed Simon burgers, please. Now, it was at the wedding, and I was thinking to myself, I thought the rest of my speech wasn't that good, so I've completely revamped it in the last few hours.
Oh no.
And I think it really came from Andy's speech, oh, not speech, it was his sermon on love. So I want to tell you the story of how Simon and Ellen got together. So Simon had arrived in university in Aberystwyth in September 2008, I think. He was full of confidence. Again, wouldn't stop talking, it was great. But I'm sure he wasn't expecting to meet his bride within the first few weeks of university. But again, the Christian Union is a dating agency, so if you come into student age, then get involved with the Christian Union. I'm sure you'll find your wife or your husband. It's not only about that. But, already one couple had got together, and that was Pete and Abby, and they're over there, at the back table, and they're quite involved in this story actually, so you'll hear a bit about them now. So Pete and Simon, they got invited over to Abby and Ellen's house. Ellen lived with Abby in second year. And they'd been invited over for a film. Now, I'm sure it was a cosy few hours in front of the TV. And it was a lovely romantic film. And it finished. The credits started, and that heart-wrenching, beautiful orchestral music started. Silence continued while people were struck by the beauty of the moment, and they took it in silence. Soon enough, the credits ended, and the screen turned blank. Now, the next noise I was heard from Pete, this information was given to me from him.
I wish.
It's quite shocking. But I don't even know if I can do this. As the screen went blank, the next sound was. Pete and Abby quickly exited the room. But look at what has happened. They've got married. It's fantastic. It's funny, as I was messing around earlier with your rings, I found that Ellen's fitted perfectly inside Simon's. And isn't that true of real life as well? They're a perfect match for each other. What better birthday present could Ellen have than Simon? Yeah, I won't. But let's get back to where I am in the speech. I wrote this bit up. Yeah, it's the best things about you, Simon. You've got married before any of your housemates, so that shows that you are charming, you're mature, and most importantly, and seriously, all who know Simon will echo is that he's a child of God. And I've seen a huge change in Simon actually over the last three years, and I can only put this down to the work of God in his life. And it's been a huge challenge to me, and an encouragement as well to have Simon around, and I'm very thankful to him for this. And thank you for the honour that it is to be a best man as well. It's really cool. Yeah, it's the first time on the top table. It's quite fun. But I hope and pray that your marriage will bring much fruit, and that you'll put God right at the centre of the relationship. There's a few toasts I want to do before I get to toasting to your future. Firstly, I want to toast to Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, Stephen and Ruth Lloyd. They have contributed a large amount of money really towards today, and they must be thanked. And look at how Ellen's grown up, and look at how she is today. It's down to their parenting, and I'm sure Ellen would also like to thank them for that. And let's do that now. Actually, let's raise our glasses to Stephen Ruth Lloyd.
Stephen Ruth Lloyd. Again.
Thanks to the ushers as well. They've been really good. I'm sure that today would not be as organised as it was without their guidance, I should say. Just thanks to them. Good clap. And now let's toast to the bride and the groom, and that they have a really fantastic marriage ahead of them, that they honour God, that they have a marriage full of love, agape love, and really have a wonderful few years, or many years ahead of them.
Oh!
I didn't mean that. Okay. So the bride and the groom's future.
Bride and groom's future! Yeah, they have done with me, thank you. Merci.
So for the rest of the evening, I was going to say thanks, I'll be around till tomorrow, but it's just stupid. So Simon and Ellen are going to leave us fairly soon, I think, isn't it? Or sometime in the next while. And then feel free to stick around. I think there'll be some music and stuff. But of course I'll announce it when they're about to leave. And then just feel free to enjoy the rest of your evening with Simon and Ellen. And thanks again to them for putting this on and having such a wonderful occasion. Yeah, thanks.